What's up, everybody? I'm Dustin Coiner. Tonight's Talkin Motorbikes with the little brother, right? The fast one, the fast Wyman, Cody Wyman. What is up, dude?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
I've gotten to know you for a little while working at the champ school, and man, like the look of the draw last weekend, dude. I was like, oh my god, I gotta have this guy on the show. Like,
Yeah, it was,
walk me through. Like, what happened? You were just going to the races anyway, and you brought your leathers hoping something would work out. Like, how does that work?
yeah, right. That's the idea is that you never show up at a racetrack without some gear to be riding if you need to, just in case anything can happen. Um, but yeah, no, Friday morning, 7:30 or so. Uh, kind of just I saw that Miles couldn't make the flight late Thursday night.
Okay.
So going to bed, I was thinking, what they were really planning on doing, and then yeah, around 7 a.m. George from Altus reached out and you know quick talk and negotiated being able to put me on the bike, and then FP1 and just yeah a couple hours later. So pretty cool, pretty quick, and kind of easy that they made it for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, first time you even saw the bike basically was Friday morning, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like free practice one or whatever.
yeah. I've never ridden a Gixxer 1000. I rode a Gixxer 600 back 2013, 2014, pretty much right before I took like a 3.5 year break from riding motorcycles. Just
What'd you
didn't
do
have any
that?
money to keep doing. Yeah, actually, I was doing a lot of different stuff. I was working for Apple in one of the Apple stores in New York. I moved to Vegas, was doing some car instruction with Corvette and Cadillac. I
Was that
worked
out at Pahrump?
Val. Yeah, yeah, Spring Mountain out in Pahrump. I was out there for about 4 years. Um, yeah, did some restaurant stuff. I worked valet at Treasure Island on the
Shut
Strip
up.
for a summer. So I was doing a lot of different stuff. But yeah, then eventually, then I got on the West BR3, and that's what kind of got me just back into the whole sport and everything.
Yeah. What year were you on the Westview R3? I'm kind of forgetting about
Yeah,
that.
2019.
Oh, okay.
I did the last couple rounds in 19, and then the full season in 20.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was like, man, because I remember in 2021 it was that British kid, right, that was riding it.
Yeah,
Um,
Jack Roach was on it.
yeah, Jack Roach, the dad that was like always, you said 5 minutes, 3 more minutes. He's like, oh, he would always do the snatch quote or whatever. But yeah, I was like, couldn't remember when you rode the R3. So and then you did a bunch of stuff. You done Junior Cup, and last year you were on Twins, right? You were.
Yeah, so we, sorry, 2 years ago, my dad and I were like, well, let's just get a 400, and there was nothing really else going on, so we got an Ninja 400, cheapest class to race,
Right.
right? Like commuter bike, parts, super easy to get, had some good support. So we did the full season in Junior Cup,
Yeah.
and then last off season didn't really wanted had a couple twins offers, but financially couldn't really swing anything. And we had the bike and the Ninja 400, and we had all this data that we got from the previous season. So kind of later in the year, or sorry, later in the off season, like March, April, decided to run the 400 again with my dad and an Alpha Omega, and I mean, yeah, it's just really all I had, and so obviously not what I wanted to do. I don't want to be racing, didn't want to be racing 400s at 28 years old, but uh, for what I had program wise, support, like it financially, and it's better than sitting on the couch, man. And I think running that bike a lot, just being in the paddock, at the beginning of the year, everyone's pissed off at me because I'm the old guy in the class.
Yeah,
But
you're
by
the
the end of the
bully, right?
year, sure, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
last
I
year it was
mean,
like everybody, the hatred because of that kind of thing was towards you in the Junior Cup and towards Heron and Josh Hayes in the Super Sport class, right?
Right, you ride where you can ride.
Yeah,
You want to be on a bike that you can be competitive on. You don't want to be riding around in the back.
yeah,
Um, and by the end of the year, I got to know I worked. It gave some sort of piece of advice to every single one of those riders at some point in Junior Cup,
yeah.
and just got to know the families so well and everything that. And I mean, in the long run, wasn't the worst thing.
Right, right. Yes, because you did the Junior Cup last year, and I swear I remember seeing you testing and stuff, messing around with a Twins Cup bike,
Yes, and so
and you did some races
VIR,
on one, right?
yeah, VIR is when I got on the Rent R7,
Okay.
and then I was going double duty on the R7 and the 400 uh, for almost the rest of the season. I tipped off on the 400 in 3C in the bumps and broke my heel and right before the last round, so I didn't ride the R7 for the final round of the season and just wanted to focus on the 400 and kind of just hobble along and try to wrap that thing up, which luckily we did.
Right on, right on. Well, you know what? You've had some experience in both of those classes. Those are like the kind of like the junior classes leading up to Super
Yeah.
Sport and Stock Thousand and whatever, right? So, like, how did you compare the competition in those classes? What do you think?
Yeah, Junior Cup, I mean, I still think it's some of the best racing. I mean, I don't know if the finishes from Road Atlanta and Road America for Junior Cup have been pretty insane. I think there was 14 riders at
Yeah,
one point in the lead group at Road America, which is awesome. It's a testament to Moto America and what they're doing with the rules and
yeah,
having everything. They're tearing bikes down
dude.
this
Even
this
that
weekend.
KTM thing is up there in the front now, right?
Yep, yep. Yeah, and you can see, yeah, Rossi, and that's another thing. Like Rossi Moore doing mini cup on the Ovales,
Yeah,
ends up going to Europe. You know, pretty sure he won the championship in his class over there, that talent cup in
yeah,
Europe, and then didn't really have anything, I guess, but comes over here and now track record and wins in Junior Cup. So
yeah,
again, it's encouraging to see the Ovale kids. That
yeah.
Junior Cup is filled with mini cup entries from just a couple of years ago.
Right.
You know, so it's pretty cool to see all that. But yeah, Junior Cup competition. You know, sometimes a bit unpredictable at times. You're trying to set up out of a big exit corner that leads on the big straightaway, and all of a sudden we're entering three wide.
Five wide.
And no one's getting a good drive now.
Five wide, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Six
right.
wide.
But yeah, I mean it's the competition though is great. Like towards the end of the year, the racing was super tight, but never really had any incidents. I mean, no one doing anything like stupid or crazy, really. Like at Barber, the final race of the year, final two races of last year, like I would have sworn that there was going to be some carnage, and there just wasn't. Like it was tight, and everyone was all on top of each other, but it was still pretty clean. So
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, last year I do remember seeing some of those guys take each other out and stuff, weird red flag or yellow waving yellow flag stuff. Like it's weird stuff like that. But it's also, you kind of expect that with, kids coming up and learning how to race, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was a lot of just kind of risk management.
Yeah.
I feel like don't put yourself on the outside entering like a crazy braking zone or something. Um, yeah, a couple incidents like last lap stuff, but in the heat of the moment, sometimes you do things maybe you shouldn't, but kids are
Yeah.
learning a lot, right? And I mean, there's a couple riders in their 20s in the class right now. I think there's three female riders in Junior Cup, even. So
Yeah.
the class is, I think, as good as it's been lately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny that you were talking about like making decisions maybe that they shouldn't have at certain moments. But last season you were kind of like the crusty veteran in that class, and it looked like a lot of times you
Crusty.
hey, this show, bro. Like, if you want rainbows and shit, like go to the other show. You know what I
All
mean?
right, dude. No, let's do it.
No, but you kind of were, right? You're the old ass man in that
Yeah.
class, and you kind of it looked like a lot of times, and maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like a lot of times you're just kind of sitting back waiting for shit to go down, and it almost always did.
Right. Right. I mean, it's kind of what I've been working with Hayden Bickney's, and it's like let's let them make the mistakes that take themselves out of the group that slowly makes that lead group smaller and smaller, which we start to see
Yeah,
in Junior Cup. Yeah, I mean, 14 rider group fizzles down to 4 or 5 riders, near the last couple laps, and that I
nice.
felt like every Junior Cup race is kind of like, all right, let's burn these laps. Let's 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 trial some things like if I exit the final corner fourth, second, if I lead out of the final corner, and then the last couple laps start to kind
Yeah,
of sort some stuff out. But yeah, from Junior Cup to Twins Cup, like Twins Cup has just been stacked the last couple of years. There's
dude, it's
so
like
much
a
talent.
nuclear arms race class, right?
Yeah, I mean these are little super bikes. They
Yeah,
really are. Like if you get a chance at Moto America to see these Twins Cup bikes up close, um, it's insane how much they're putting into them, and how fast these people are going. Um,
yeah,
you know, so yeah, I mean between the R7 and the 660, I'd like to see some more Aprilias up there, and see Suzuki be more competitive. But yeah, I still think right now state of the class is pretty peak as well.
yeah. I mean, it's it looks pretty competitive. And like you were saying with the bikes, I mean, on the R7s anyway, I've seen that I think Yoshimura is making like some kind of crazy airbox mod for it, and the Westby guys have that. I mean, they cut a hole in the front. They've got like full on ram air. Like it's kind of badass.
Yeah, no, it's impressive, and I mean being a couple seconds, few seconds depending where you're at, off super sport times.
Yeah,
Like I rode a 660 at Homestead, um, and I was rolling like right with another guy's like R6 and these big like acceleration zones, these big straightaways, and
yeah,
I was like, man, these things are not that far away, really,
right.
from a middleweight.
Yeah, I mean, when the R7 came out, there was a lot of internet hate on that thing because it wasn't the R6 and it was slower on the dyno or whatever. But then you'd go to a track day or something, and the guy that was riding the R6 before and bought a brand new R7 is probably doing the same times, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely got to, the R7 off the floor. Yamaha was definitely looking at a more entry level platform. So
Right.
it would take a bit more to put into it to make it, competitive for people racing. Because anyone who's club racing, who's near the front in lightweight twins or anything, and they're on an R7, they put some funding into it for sure. Um, but just as much with a 660 for maintenance and everything. So um, and then you still get the SVs who are hanging around just outside the top 10 and stuff. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean,
Why do you
kind
think
of
that
opened
is?
up a
Like, why do you think that is? Do you think it's could it be that that bike is still this good? Just like the newer bikes are what people is drawing people's attention as far as like support and that kind of thing.
yeah, and I think yeah, it's definitely like a little bit of a trend lately with the R7 and the 660 coming out.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of just after, and that's a little bit of just the whole like race on Sunday, sell on Monday, idea is that if that's what you're seeing up front and that's what you're seeing, Blake Davis like killing it on that R7 from last year, and yeah, I mean if that's what you see people going fast on, I
Yeah.
mean I know there's still a bunch of 650 stuff out there. A
Yeah.
lot of it's been maybe thrown down the road a few times,
More
uh,
probably more than a few times, right?
but hey, I mean, whatever gets people to the track. If you want to do track days on a 650, like by all means, people. they'll love to have you there. But
Yeah, like I
um,
took a break from club racing a little like 2010, and then in 2011, I was involved in helping start the CVMA, but I didn't have a race bike yet, and this guy gave me Nate Loyal, my cycling coach, kind of gave me. He's like, "Here, if I can take this old beater SV650." I'm like, "Sure." And the thing was it was kind of a turd. I mean, it was a turd. Um, and then later on, I ended up riding a couple of other SVs, and my dad had one. And then I think in 2012, my dad was involved in a crash at High Plains Raceway, broke his arm, and his wife at the time was like, you could either stay a racer or stay married, but you can't do both. And so I ended up with his bike, and that bike ended up crazy. I mean, it was, we ended up having like a Cowie swing arm on it, and like Gixxer front end and billet crankshaft, TL 1000 throttle bodies. The thing was insane, right? Methanol. It ran on methanol, dude. We called it the meth bike. Um, and
I feel like a lot of SV650s could be referred to as the mess bike.
sure, totally, dude. um, but we ended up, I ended up breaking my arm riding my bicycle in the mountains that year, and I didn't really get to ride it much. So I let Frankie Garcia ride it, and that dude went and set lap records all over the state of California, and even in Colorado, I think he set lap records on that bike. Um, the guy that was working on that bike kind of disappeared with that bike, so I never got it back. But it'd be kind of cool to have my dad's bike back, but whatever. But it was
Well,
fun.
yeah, I mean that's that's the idea too, though. I mean, if you have a 65 horsepower SV650, if that's even a thing, like
Yeah,
you can work on like at Chance School, we're taking minivans around the track and ripping around.
yeah.
I would bet money quicker than the beginner group at like a Porsche Club track day. Like it's the person who's on the bike or the person who's behind the wheel, right? If you can take some pile and be able to go super fast on it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh well, I can't go fast on it because I don't have the suspension or
I don't have
the
that new
power
Pirelli.
or
I don't have the new Pirelli World Superbike
right,
tire.
right. I mean,
Dude, we're
you
going to full
throw
champ school status right now,
well, I
huh?
mean, I've been to a lot of track days in the last couple years, just doing some coaching and stuff, and you just hear a lot like, okay, well, I got it. I just, I don't like how my suspension is right now, or something, or you know, just yeah, don't have the new, uh, need to get it tuned or whatever it is. I
The
mean,
OLEDs. You gotta have the new
it,
OLEDs.
yeah, yeah,
Bitubo.
it's
Bitubo.
sometimes it's hard to look in the mirror and see what you can do differently. If it's a soft bike, what can we do differently?
Yeah.
Lighter on the brakes to still get the fork in that spot. If it's stiffer, it needs more load. You have to, do things differently. If the
Yeah.
thing doesn't shift, like you have to take more time on entries and account for that and adjust. So it's like whatever it is, um,
Do you
still
do you think
you can
you
still take that approach.
do you think you kind of partially have that mindset somewhat because of the amount of different shit that you ride?
Right. No, I mean we made a gearing change on this Altus bike, stock 1000. We raised the rear 2 mil. Um, did a little bit with electronics and didn't really touch anything else.
Yeah.
Like because I was still trying different things on the bike. I'm still
Right.
doing different things with my body. I'm still braking different and seeing what's working out. So until I become the variable, and I mean at being so new on a leader bike, I don't think, you know, unless something really sticks out in the data, you know, I'm still learning so much where like I'm not going to be Jake Gagne who gets on the bike and rides 110% the same way, and then they adjust the bike to how he's riding because I don't know, well, not even close to that skill level,
Right.
but not, fully figured out where I'm going to do this, be as consistent, right?
Well,
So
is it something I hear a lot of riders talk about taking the time to understand what that particular motorcycle needs. Is that pretty accurate?
yeah, yeah. I mean, every bike has different pros and cons, and um,
Right.
eh, whether it's handling or power or an initial power, like torque off the corner or top versus top speed. Um, stability is a big thing with the big bikes too.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, besides, yeah, it's always like, well, if we can do things to make it easier for you or more comfortable to be able to run that pace, sure. But I mean, honestly, we didn't even play with ergonomics. Like I got on, I'm like, yeah, this all looks about right.
Yeah, the brake
Like
lever
hands,
still it's right
yeah,
there.
brake
Great.
lever, right? But yeah, I mean, luckily Altus has done the work the past few years. I think we were on Jake Lewis's setup because the bike was set up for Miles Thornton,
Okay.
who got stuck in Atlanta airport, which is the only
Bummer.
reason I got on the bike.
Bummer for him.
Miles was
Sucks
supposed to
for
be on.
him, but good on you.
It does, it does. Yeah, he reached out to me and was supportive, and he's an old buddy I've known for a long time. But yeah, I had Jake's stuff on the bike and didn't really touch anything because I felt like it was still me that had things to work on,
Yeah.
right? Which it should be.
And I mean, it kind of goes without saying that bike it must be not super bad because like Camp P won a title on it. Jake Lewis won a title on it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It
I mean,
can't
the
be
way the
it can't be a super bad motorcycle.
right, I felt pretty comfortable pretty early on to start to push entries, and um, it did talk back to you pretty well when you're
Yeah.
starting to push too hard on entry, that it starts to give you that feedback where okay, like we're getting close right now. It wasn't, um, but yeah, that was more Friday, Saturday.
Yeah. So yeah, so talk me through race 1, man. Like how'd you end up getting on the box, dude?
Yeah, I'm just stoked with how Friday went. Uh, put a P5 in Q1,
Yeah.
and then ended up staying qualifying fifth. Um, yeah, I got a better start than I would have thought. After my practice start wasn't great, um, and then yeah, it felt easier than I would have thought to just kind of stay near the Orange Cat BMWs,
Yeah.
and really felt strong from like turn 5 to the entry of the chicane.
Yeah.
Um, and really that whole kind of infield section felt really good through the carousel
Did you
for a
feel
while.
like you were at a disadvantage down the straights compared to the BMW? Those
I
crazy bikes with
I
the
think
wings
like
and shit?
right, right. I mean, you'll see in race 1 that I was definitely struggling with the thing wheeling and no lift control, or just less than I was used to. I feel like when the BMWs hit like third, fourth gear is when you really start to see it get away
Yeah.
a little bit. I raced 2 weeks before at Road Atlanta in the Weir Endurance on an R1, and was riding around with Jason Waters a little bit, and he was on a BMW, and that thing was moving pretty good
Yeah.
down the back straightaway. Um,
Wow.
I thought, my bike was handling better through the carousel. I felt like I was a lot more confident than Caleb uh, than Caleb was.
Yeah.
I mean, the track is amazing, by the
Yeah.
way. Like, y- I didn't hear anyone say anything bad about it. Besides, like sometimes since it's so new, there's like grip, 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 no grip at all, right? And it
Really?
can kind of surprise you. But I felt like through the carousel each time, I'm just like, well, I'm gonna keep leaning this thing over until it starts to give me some feedback, and then you're on your elbow and the thing's still steering okay. You
Yeah.
know, fronts, yeah, rear's moving a little bit, front on the exit of the carousel because you're kind of starting to drive it already, but about holding lean angle nearly, so the front's starting to move around a little bit, but um, yeah, and then I just saw Caleb was starting to get closer and closer to me, and I was, again, still trying different things. I think I did my best lap on the third to last lap, or towards the end,
Yeah.
and then was kind of just eyeing out that pass and then the chicane. I felt like if I knew I couldn't draft him from the final corner to the start finish, and even if I felt like I went by in Canada Corner, which is a super sketchy place to pass on a superbike. I've
Right.
been watching superbike races at Road America for a while and watched people making dive bomb passes there,
Yeah.
and that's before the asphalt.
Yeah.
When it was super bumpy and there was kind of like that narrow lane that we had to hit.
Wasn't that
So
the famous Tony Elias Cambovier connection?
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what just made me think of it
What
actually.
was it? The
Um,
Scud missile, right?
Scud missile, yeah. No, I mean one of the best guys at being able to turn in early, like and just get the bike to still turn, like
Yeah.
and get away with it. But yeah, like obviously he'd be pushing corner entries like crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought if I went by in Canada Corner, if I could even do that, that he would just draft me to the line. So I thought if I got underneath him under the bridge, um, into the chicane and got that clean, and then kind of block into the Canada Corner, just try to get a good run, I might have a chance. And yeah, I came across the line third. I was like, oh my god, I just put this thing on the box.
Yeah, dude, you had us yelling at the TV, so I was like, right on,
Thanks,
dude.
buddy.
I was like, I know that guy. But yeah, it was cool, man. I was stoked for you. Um, and then
No,
obviously race
appreciate
two,
that.
right?
Yeah, yeah. We tried some. We tried making some electronics changes to the lift control, and so that felt better in the warm up, just not as aggressive, popping up and slamming back down
Yeah.
a little bit. And then yeah, lap one, I got a better start. I felt pretty good in lap one, and then through the carousel, I was like, okay, I passed Caleb here before. I'm gonna have a look, and I kind of got alongside of him and thought, I better not. And I got back and I scooted back in line, ended up getting a false neutral and started kind of rolling up on him. Got back into first, and the thing went a little bit closer to him, and I was like, man, I lap one. I'm about to get into the back of Caleb and squeeze on some brake, and just kind of lost the front
That
with
sucks.
not a lot of lean angle. It
Yeah.
was pretty early on. I think that's another thing, just with that track, with how much grip there was. I definitely locked up the front with initial braking into Canada Corner one time, because you go to the brakes on the side of the tire. There's so much bite with these superbike pads, and there's so much grip that if we squeezed on brake, I heard Heron talk about it once on air, and the same thing happened to me. I was like, yeah, that happened to me. That was super sketchy, because I grabbed the brakes mistakenly and felt the front like talk like during my like 6 to 5 downshift.
Oh wow.
Like I was like, okay, there's that much grip that if I get too aggressive on the brakes on the side of the tire, um, the thing can the thing can start to push like that. And then
Yeah.
it grips up and it's like, oh, you want to go this way, and it like folded like crazy. But honestly, like still the Gixxer felt a lot more compliant and kind of had a lot of feeling on entry, like receptive to getting in deep or not.
So I, it's like promoting the show or whatever, and Michael Hannes, he asked me to ask you if you're gonna replace Tony on the Superbike.
That'd be pretty mega, but uh, yeah, right now between Altus or M4 or really anything, I don't have anything going for the next round as of today. Um, yeah, to get on a super bike, and I felt like Sunday I could have had some more pace on the stock 1000, and on Saturday I'm like, I want to bring this home. I felt like I never even missed an apex. I was like, I'm just gonna like make sure I get the thing slowed on entry. Like I'm just gonna get the bike here, and I know he had a tip over Friday, so he's riding kind of hurt. So I'm like, if I just stay clean, get the thing slowed, like maybe he'll start to come to me. But I did want to start trying to push a little bit more. And once you get a podium Saturday, it's like Sunday you can, try to maybe let it hang out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm just really upset with lap 1 because like I wasn't trying to make a pass. Like I
It
realized like
looked
no,
like it did
I
on
better
TV.
not.
It looked like you were trying to
Yeah.
make a
Well,
pass on TV.
I was definitely having a look, but I slow down and get back in line. And um, yeah, I know. Like, oh, lap 1, he's riding over his head. Like, I really wasn't trying to do anything crazy. And then
Yeah.
I was just trying to not get into the back of him.
Well, like I
Um,
told you offline, I was looking at it and it looked like you were trying to make a pass. So I was like, like we talked about that shit in school, right? I was like, Cody, no, man, no.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. After honestly, um, yeah, you see me kind of catch a false neutral, and then I have to put my foot back to get into first. And now I'm like, okay, and so we're just gonna roll in there together, and kind of it really did catch me off guard. There wasn't much warning with that one,
Yeah.
but yeah, glad I didn't collect Caleb. Cool to see Travis get his first win, and what's been a long time with him struggling with the bike and again some electronic stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty cool.
So
Good
you
weekend for
were
the
saying
family.
about the pavement, a lot of people were talking about it before the event. I heard that there was a
Yeah,
team testing, but the weather was kind of shit, so the lap times were kind of slow, which kind of let the rumor mill be like, dude, the pavement's not there yet, and then you see in Superbike, like usually there's only one dude going under 210s, and this time there was quite a bit more than that under 210.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um,
Almost in the eights,
yeah,
like in at the end of race 2.
yeah,
It's pretty crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, Junior Cup FP1, they were going faster than we went in the races last year.
Did all the
Just with
I
how
think all the
smooth.
classes did break the lap records, right?
I would I would I would assume so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Twins was there, they definitely would have. Um, but yeah, just with how smooth all the entries were, like um, you can just carry so much more entry speed and edge rip, and I mean, I had the rear brake loose on the new asphalt like maybe 10 times all weekend. Like it, and into the chicane even, because you're going from the new pavement to the old pavement. It's kind of like squirming around a little bit, and then it hits the old pavement, and it kind of like finds its groove again and settles in. And then on the exit, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is still old surface. But no, I mean, if you haven't been there already, it was already such a good track. Like, and
Yeah.
they made one of the best tracks in the country that much better.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Okay, so you're a Wyman. You're the youngest one. You're both your brothers done the Harley thing. How come you're not doing the Harley thing? Like, isn't that like your whole family shtick?
Yeah, well, um, I've done a little testing with Harley. I've I've ridden the bagger um, 4 or 5 times. Honestly, a lot of it is like testing um, engine calibration or like quick shifter at part throttle or quick shifter at 50% throttle or a wide open throttle, which took a while to be able to manage that amount of torque and kill it and give it back smoothly, which
Right.
they've gotten down really, really good right now. It sounds very, very seamless. Yeah, and even just the transmission with downshifts, trying to make cleaner. So,
Yeah.
um, but at these tests when we do that, it's cool that Kyle and Travis are just able to focus on just going fast and trying to make it better and better, and then I can test a new shift bracket or you know some other things that we you know can't really get into. But
What are you guys
it's
doing, like
honestly,
Grand
man,
Prix parts on the
dude,
Harleys? Like,
it's one of my favorite bikes to ride.
is it
It is
really?
unreal how fast we can go on
It
these
is unreal
630
how
pound
fast those
baggers.
stupid baggers go. Like, I just,
Right?
like whatever.
Hey, say what you want. All you have to be is
Dude,
anyone
I'm
who
wearing the
knows who
shirt
has.
that says motorcycles are stupid, okay? Like, right? Yeah, it is amazing. I
if
mean, watching those guys
Yeah,
doing, I mean, they're doing like super sport times.
That's insane. Like all you have to have is some reference for lap times at any tracks around the country,
Yeah.
and you know the fact that you would be winning middleweight club races or qualifying on like the third, fourth row of super sport race, or I mean you could qualify for a superbike race
Yeah.
with the bagger time.
Yeah.
Like one day
That's insane, dude.
one day I want to see that thing on the grid in another Moto America class, just for me.
That's kind of funny. I mean, I think the electric bike dudes were talking about trying to enter super sport or something at one point, and that would be nuts, right? I mean, right now it's kind of like a super hooligan thing, but like
Yeah,
if they got that electric thing dialed in enough to qualify for super sport, I think that'd be kind of cool, right? So I mean, why not a
yeah,
Harley too, man? Give it a shot. Be like that
right.
weird dude that's out there on a bagger against Ducatis and shit.
And the Pan Am is I rode the Pan Am and did the same time at CMP when I was testing. I did almost the same exact time that I did on the bagger, which yeah, it means I was leaving some time on the bagger when I got to do like a 20-minute like hot lap session.
Yeah.
But but yeah, even the Pan Am's a super good bike too, which I had a lot of fun on, really comfortable.
Well, watching your brothers ride, I mean, I've had your brother Kyle on the show a couple of times, and watching him on that crazy bagger thing, like I don't think I've ever seen him on TV or at the track with as big a smile on his face as he had. Like he looks like he's having a good time now. He always looked like he was kind of in the shit before, and now he looks like he's having fun.
Yeah, from running his superbike program where that really is like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
That's a 60 hour a week. Like he's in his office, calls everything. Travis is running his own program right now. Like it's a ton of work, but I mean it is a proper factory ride.
Yeah.
The Harley and the
Like he's
Indian
getting a
are
paycheck from Harley to do that.
yeah,
That's kind
yep,
of awesome, right?
yeah.
So,
Right. I mean, and they had a solid weekend. Obviously Milwaukee being in the backyard for Road America and
yeah.
being the 120th anniversary for Harley. Willie G came out to the race. I finally
Oh
got to meet
shit.
him, and yeah, he's turning 90 soon, and yeah, he was warming up one of the baggers. I saw him like picking up the throttle and the bagger in the stand. Uh, hey, if they ask me to race a bagger, like you already know, I'm gonna jump on
Well, you're
that
gonna have your
thing.
leathers.
But
Like, they would they mind if you wore your Yamaha Champ School leathers on the bagger?
I I think they got a Harley suit.
Okay.
I think that I would have to do that. Yeah,
Okay.
I know. Wearing the Yamaha Champ School leathers on Suzuki over the weekend, but hey, it's all I had at the time. So
Yeah. So, how long you been working for the Champ School?
it's been a few years now. Probably like three and a half years, and really got more involved. And I mean, like I said, I've worked in restaurants and valet, but now I really am full time coaching or some sort of riding, coaching at TrackDaz or coaching with Champ School or racing. So it really is a dream come true. Like I left Road America at like 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. on Sunday, flew down to Barber to work an event with Mithos-USA. They're a dealership entity. They have a bunch of dealerships over the country. Mithos-USA. Like did an event with Helmet House and Cortec and Shoei, and like yeah, I got in a hotel at 1 a.m., sleep a few hours, go out to Barber yesterday and like work an event. But this is the dream. This is flying around the country riding motorcycles. Like it really couldn't get better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it seems like you've kind of picked up with the Champ School where your brother Kyle left off, right?
Yeah, he's not doing it as much, with his superbike program that he had a while, and yeah, and he's just been busy with the Harley program and other testing. I mean, they're testing testing just production models even, you know,
Really?
um, and like doing some stuff with Harley, like a press launch for when new bikes come out. We're gonna do another thing for the 120th anniversary. So
Wow.
to see that kind of come full circle between my grandfather's dealership and now, we all wanted to be factory Harley dirt track racers when we were kids, and then started road racing, and then now Harley's found its way like back into our family in racing, which has been pretty crazy. But yeah, being champ school, it's it's really it's all my best friends at the school.
Yeah.
Uh, it's all
Thanks.
all good. Yeah, hey, it's a good group of guys
Yeah,
and
it
a
is.
lot of badass motorcycle riders too
Yeah, I
there.
mean,
A lot of talent.
I love working for the school, going out
Yeah.
there and spending the time and I'm like the SoCal dude. Like that I only do the SoCal schools pretty much, right? Um,
Right.
I mean, you've seen me the last couple of years at schools, you know. But it's a great
Yep.
group of
Yep.
dudes. I mean, Chris Paris is doing the thing. Chris is kind of taking the lead, right? Because Nick's kind of taking a little bit of a step back, right?
Yeah. Nick's not at as many of them as he used to be. Um, and yeah, and we're bringing in more 3Cs who again are just all in to the sport.
Yeah,
You know, um, so yeah, it's really, yeah, really has honestly changed my life, and the idea of, like you said, like we're gonna take the approach that we can adjust as a rider
right.
versus always like looking back at suspension or data where there's things that we can do better,
Yeah.
mentally, physically. Um,
Well, I
but yeah,
mean,
no,
we talked about it in the school, right? Just like moving your head this much makes a huge,
yeah, right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
We dropped the front end like 4 mil, and the bike's completely different, but your 13-pound head and helmet is a foot too low or too high or in the wrong
Right.
spot. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of different things
Do
that
you
we can
have
do.
like
But
I mean, you do a lot of schools. You drive the fan, you do two ups, video stuff. Like, do you have like a favorite tramp school moment?
two ups are great because you've done a ton of two ups,
Yeah.
right? So the idea of like um, it being like them scared or a thrill ride on the back,
Yeah.
right? It's like you can really learn a lot from getting on the back of a bike because I can like tell you about it, I can show you in video, I can draw it on the board, but to feel properly loaded front tire past tip in
Yeah.
or having the rear be just moving around right around 100 points of grip and how smooth it can be on the controls, like how even on an FC1, blipping the downshifts smoothly to kind of feel what we're after, what all riders should kind of be chasing based
Yeah.
on what these champs are doing.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I mean, at probably a little bit on day two when you see the film review and just how far people have come,
Yeah.
and then we get to ride around a little bit in the afternoon on and just tear up some Dunlops and enjoy it, and then Keith can change them later on.
Yeah. I mean, I always bring my two up sled that has Pirellis on it.
Yeah, I see that. Right, you got slicks on there. I see what you're doing.
Hey, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. But you're right. I mean, the approach to the two ups when I started doing them years
Yeah.
ago, the mindset was my mindset was a little bit different. It was kind of like give somebody a spirited, right? And
Yeah.
there was a couple of lawsuits and shit that happened out here in California, not from me, but
Okay.
like at another org, and man, I was just like, man, that's a bad look, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Years ago, like when I was still at Chuckwalla, and I haven't been there in 3 years, right? So years ago, when I was still at Chuckwalla, maybe like 2013, 14, maybe, like I just changed the way I do the two ups. So it's more about showing people, it's like an educational thing, like showing people. And I actually tell them to, I tell them things like to watch my hands, you know, and
Right.
take a look at my bike placement, that kind of thing, and trying to apply some of the stuff I learned from doing a two up with Scott Russell. That really changed my world, man. Like that guy, like I even ride my own bike different because of that. Watching how slow that dude's hands were. You want to talk a little bit about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, I think too, it's kind of like the right seat effect when you're a passenger in a car. It's right when weight transfers and you
Yeah,
weren't the one who did it, like it's instantly gonna feel exaggerated and more aggressive. And being on the back of the bike too, you're higher up, so like lean angle feels more extreme. Even though we'll run fast two up laps without even dragging anything or even
yeah.
not dragging hard parts
I
even.
don't even drag my
Sometimes
knee or hang off or anything.
sometimes right. Well, I mean we can't, right? They're
Right.
they're wrapped around us,
Well,
so.
easy kind of
Um,
does.
yeah, yeah. Well, you can tell them to if they have a two up bar, which is great.
Yeah.
I did like 15 two ups yesterday, and it was all like one hand on the tank, the other hand around my stomach, and that's like way more, kind of moving around, but also it kind of helps them move with you a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell them not to move at all, and I'll just do do what I need to do, bar
Yeah.
pressure and upper body and brakes to get direction. But um, yeah, I mean it instantly feels quicker than it is, like way faster than usually than we're actually going. And yeah, and like a lot of rear brake, a ton of rear brake because you have more weight in the rear end.
Yeah.
Uh, you have more mass, so at school sometimes we'll burn up the rear brake if you do a bunch of two up laps in a row.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I mean I'll like kind of flick my fingers before I roll off to the brakes to get their attention on my right hand and seeing me blipping the downshifts. Um, you know, having the last five of the clutch release, but I think most importantly just feeling the front end steering into the corner, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we're all after. I mean,
Yeah.
at the school, a lot of times we hear people like saying, "Oh, well, like especially in the first few laps, like in the first lead follow, like, oh, I'm not going fast enough to need the brakes." And it's like you could ride 30, 40 miles per hour around NJMP and brake past tipping everywhere and load the front. You know,
Yeah.
it's like commonly they're always grabbing too much,
Right.
or these European bikes that have such bite and these street bikes that have super bike stuff on them, that where they're so touchy and sensitive that they always will grab 20 points,
Yeah.
So um, yeah, a lot of the just like I said, trying to get the feel for what we're after that they'll
Yeah.
get as a passenger.
So, Champ School, I think maybe it was last year they started doing that online program. Like, you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, how involved in the Champ U thing are you?
I did film Champ U New Rider School with the program. Kyle did a lot, Nick, Chris, Elena Myers, Mark Schellinger, Keith Culver. They've all done a good bit of it. We're gonna launch um, Champ Body, which has just a lot more that you can do physically on and off the bike, just to get make your track day last longer. How many times are people packing up early because they're tired,
Yeah.
or if they can't run the full session, full focus, or they're just smoked. Especially now, we're getting into the summer. Um, it's getting hot, so whatever we can do body wise, doing a Champ U Street Survival, which is really good just for just street riders. Things that you can look for. I mean, look on the street. How many people are a car length behind a car riding, and not covering the brakes like this
Yeah.
or something, or rolling off the throttle like this, whether it's street, track, whatever it is. This craziest thing you can do on a motorcycle, truly. Like I
Right.
lock the front up at 180. This at 40 miles per hour makes me more nervous, right?
Really?
Um, yeah, just
Well, it's because
totally
like I hope it
out
works
of
out.
control.
I hope it works
Yeah,
out, right?
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Something up ahead told me I'm gonna roll off the throttle, so now I'm half a second away from sneaking on brakes. But yeah, street survival, like even like parking in traffic, like uh, if you're at a red light, like to angle yourself in a position where if someone behind doesn't see you, like you're able to take evasive action. I mean, yeah, a lot of different stuff coming with Champ U. Just because I know the Champ School, it is expensive to get out, especially if you're bringing equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can fly out. We have bikes and gear that you can rent, but for Champ U to be under $100, um,
Yeah.
and I mean, I know a lot of people. Well, I've been riding for so long, but I swear there's so much misinformation out there that you're not gonna. It's you're just gonna encounter some of it at some point in
Yeah.
your life. Someone's gonna tell you to do this one thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, he why is he telling me this and you're saying this? And it's like, it's not because I made this stuff up or Chris Paris made this stuff up. It's just because we're just truly modeling it off of what Fabio is doing and now what Pecco is doing, and it changes each
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
You used to say never pinch the fuel tank. Now we got GP riders pinching the fuel tank with the inside leg. Then they get their foot set up before they tip into the corner,
Right.
right? They say like never have weight in the hands. You have GP riders dangling their leg in braking zones. The weight has to be in the hands, but they're going to get weight out of the hands after they initiate the tip in. Then they're going to lighten up the pressure, and all the weight goes into their legs
Yeah.
and core and lower body. So you hear all these things. When in doubt, throttle out. Like it rhymes. It must be true.
It was
Like
on.
you
It was
hear,
on the internet. It must be true. Like that
yeah,
guy. He's like he's done 2 track days. Like he told me.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. The guy in the forum who doesn't use his real name, but has a bunch of posts.
Yeah.
Like that's the guy I want to listen to.
Yeah. Or the guy at the track. He's got a clapped out Suzuki, and he's got a broken arm. That's the guy
Yeah,
I want to listen to.
right,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
So I mean, no, it's like I said, it's totally changed my life, and being able to share something that we're all passionate about. And the sport's been on this crazy incline since COVID. So if we can keep misinformation out,
Yeah.
away, but the proper technique is just we're gonna have more people who want to go to the track. We're gonna have more people buying bikes, boots, gear that want to start. You know what? I'm gonna go club racing. You know, the the people who are just getting into Moto America now, even like we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
I really do think so.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, even working the school, the last couple of schools I've worked at, most of the students had already gone through the Champ U thing. And dude, it's like
Yep,
they got a head start. It's like most of the
huge.
shit that we waste a lot of time in the morning, not wasting, but like most of the instruction stuff that we talk about in the morning, everybody's like, "Yeah, we already know that. Let's move on."
Yep,
So
yep.
it kind of helps get them on track quicker almost because they're ready already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we show up day one, and yeah, most everyone's already seen Champ U,
Yeah.
and now because they took the school for a reason. They think that riding bikes is cool. They want to be as good as they can at it. They want to do it as efficiently and safely as they can,
Yeah.
right? So it's just having the desire to want to look at best practices
Yeah.
and see how they can incorporate that into their own riding. Um,
So
we've seen people come
I'm
really,
gonna get to some
really
of the
long way.
I'm gonna get to
Yeah,
some
go
of the
ahead.
questions online really quick, but one of the comments, somebody wants my shirt. Just so you know, I got this from a club racer out of the Pacific Northwest. His name's Paul. He's on the team called Short Fuse Racing. He actually used to race at CVMA back in the day, a friend of mine, and he sent me this shirt because of something Melissa Paris said on this show. Motorcycles are stupid.
I mean, they're designed if uh, they're engineered to tip over unless we are there to do something about it,
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
You know, like
I think the
so.
stupid motorcycle thing is like, oh, when you're racing, the stupid motorcycle broke, or I crashed and now I got to fix this stupid motorcycle, or, whatever. Or like at Road Atlanta, when Camp P blew up and you saw the fireball,
Yeah.
that's the connecting rod and rod bolts from that, right?
Wow. Okay.
No, it is. Like on that board right there, that's the connecting rod and rod bolts from that engine.
Yeah, still a little toasty.
Yeah, I was over at the shop and I was like, "Hey, dude, hook me up with like." I
Can I
tell
have
Richard,
that? Yeah.
"Yeah," and he's like, I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You don't get to keep the cap." I'm like, "Okay," and I guess the piston was kind of like welded to the head, so I couldn't take the piston. I think they sent the head and everything to scrap. Basically, it was so fucked. So,
Yeah,
um,
Superbike's crazy, isn't it?
it
It's so
is,
good.
dude. It really is. But
That race 2 at Road Atlanta, that's the best Moto America race I think I've ever seen.
oh, dude. Oh, by
You
far. I
know?
mean, all season really. It's like, I mean, obviously, Jake did his thing at Barber, um, as expected, right? But it's getting good. Like that series, that Superbike is getting amazing, right?
Oh yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah, the
you'll get
star
the call,
power.
man. It'd be cool to see
Yeah,
you
it'd
on
be
that.
cool.
I mean, no, who's gonna ride that thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I haven't yeah, it's Tuesday right now and I haven't heard anything yet.
Right
So
on. All right, so
or
let's get to
any
the
rumors.
comments, man.
What do we got? I can't see them, so you gotta
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so
yeah, send it.
Chunky Buns says, and I think this is in reference to the Champ U thing or whatever, but she's saying it sounds like it needs to be a little bit more publicized, especially for all the quote clowns thinking Moto Jutsu is helping save lives in parking lots. Yikes!
Yeah, I'm
Like that dude's actually a pretty nice guy. I mean, I don't know what a hatred for that guy, but um,
yeah, no, he's come out to the school a few times, and he's riding pretty well on track. But yeah, it does a lot of the low speed stuff, and I mean, yeah, I'll admit, I mean, people aren't getting hurt or killed in low speed in parking lots,
right.
right? So, and yeah, I do think it can get out to, the street riders, especially kind of this younger generation of people who like honestly, I think there's a lot of people who got into F1 and then now they want to buy a Ducati or an Aprilia or something even.
Really?
So yeah, if we can get more to this, because like F1's been going crazy and man, if we can just get a small percentage of those fans to
Yeah.
filter into MotoGP and see real racing and overtaking
Yeah.
and
We'll
side
put
by side
have
like
them figure out a way to put Pressure to Rise on Netflix. Problem solved,
yeah, right,
right?
right. Yeah, I mean, they kind of that GP documentary that it sucks that it was on Prime because there's so much stuff on Amazon Prime, and
Yeah.
half the reason the people watch the F1 thing is that they're just scrolling looking for something to watch,
Yeah.
and they see like Formula One. It's aesthetically pleasing, it's loud, and it's has this like um kind of exotic or like kind of high class like vibe to it. So people are like,
Right.
okay, yeah, maybe this is pretty cool, and then they get hooked.
Yeah.
Where on Prime, you have to look for it.
Right.
Where this, you could tell the budget for the GP
Oh,
doc versus
absolutely, man. I
Netflix
mean,
one, not even close.
Moto America's done a great job with that Pressure to Rise thing. It's
Yeah,
free
yeah,
on
it's really good.
YouTube, but it's like you almost have to know it's there, kind of thing. And
Yeah,
man, if that was on Netflix, there'd be like probably so much money in the paddock to be ridiculous, right?
yeah, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Um,
Dreaming big, right?
but yeah, getting out to a lot of the street riders because I mean, I've I don't have my own motorcycle to ride in the street.
Yeah.
I don't have a crazy desire to go on street rides on my days off, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so and these people who are going quick in the street and trying to drag their knee on the street, it's like that is not it, man. Like,
Yeah. Like I had that. There's like that internet guy. I'm not even gonna say his name because he's like a douche. But there's this internet dipshit that rides in the canyons. And dude, I was up there on my bicycle a couple years ago, and I still kind of owe that dude a one-way conversation if I ever see him. But he kind of brushed my elbow. As he went by me on his R1, and I was like, I'm on my bicycle. The dude damn near ripped my bars out of my hands. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? So, um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that going on. A lot of people trying to make themselves Instagram famous or YouTube famous because of riding like idiots on the canyons,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I mean if you're riding the club and you know if you're the good riders, we're always talking about technique,
Yeah,
whether it's at champ school and after our afternoon lunch session where we're able to ride around a lot, we'll start picking each other's laps apart.
yeah,
Whether it's brand new riders that are in a parking lot learning, like you're always just talking technique,
yes,
right? Not just lean angle or I'm literally always trying to run the least amount of lean angle as I can when riding on the street,
right,
like on purpose, right?
yeah,
So it's like, yeah, these people are trying to go fast in the street. It's like, hey, I mean, do your thing, enjoy it, enjoy the sport, but it's not, people aren't getting hurt on the track in a fraction. 5,000 riders a year are dying on motorcycles on the street.
right.
Pretty crazy.
Okay, so Short Guy Moto,
Yep.
he says, he asks, what were the biggest challenges for you racing the 400?
That's a good question. I think sometimes the riders, most of them teenagers, maybe they're just riding through these little warnings, like almost like we don't know how close we are to crashing at times or how
Yeah,
close we are to the limit. I'd say the toughest part was just like when they would spoil your plan. Like, okay, well I'm going into turn 6 and 7 at Road Atlanta, and 7 leads onto a mile long back straightaway. So I'm gonna wait until the last lap, and then I'll try to be in this position. Um, and then yeah, like I said, then let's go full wide into the corner. Um, but yeah, definitely changing the approach just because your max brake pressure is going to be a lot lighter, although you're going to be rolling faster through the corners.
yeah.
Um, and in fact, like I used a ton of rear brake on the 400. I think that
Really?
helped me a lot.
Hmm.
Rear brake on some of these entries and longer left-handers. Um, I think I did pretty good getting behind the bubble. But I mean, the first year on the 400, my dad and I we were doing a lot of things, you know, wrong. So it took that season just to gather data to get some sort of starting point for Friday,
Yeah,
and I think that was a big reason um, why I was able to do better last year. Just approach for the type of track and different types of corners, having at least a good idea of what we wanted for gearing, and um, and I think some race strategy just to try to put yourself in the right spot towards the end of the race.
right on. Okay, so I've got a couple more questions. Cody, Proto. And then I have a response to Proto from Chris McCreary, but he says, Proto says, why is the champ school so expensive? And Chris McCreary says, the same reason divorce is so expensive. It's worth it. It's like
It's
somebody's
worth
been
it.
listening to Nick Einach's jokes, right?
Oh man, he is happily married in Colorado,
Yes.
uh, playing with his horses and
Yes.
he's racing. So no, he's doing well. Well, yeah, I mean, it's incredibly expensive to run a school, to rent out a racetrack, to bring a fleet of Yamahas out to the track, um, to insurance for the track, ambulance, you know, tires, like all these things. It is expensive, but I promise you the value is there because you can get on anything, any bike. You can share the knowledge, which is incredibly fulfilling to be able to share that and see it applied.
Yeah.
Um, and if you don't think it's worth it, and you get Champ U and you didn't learn anything, um, I mean, I
Maybe that
promise.
person should get the ride at release Tony, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, right, exactly,
Yeah.
right. Then they should be racing and be finishing up front, huh?
Well, pretty much, yeah. I mean, you know, I won championships before I did the Yamaha Champion School in 2011 the first time, and dude, it little things. I mean, for me, it was like little things became big things. Like simple, like where you put your feet. Like I totally changed in 2011. I changed the where I put my feet because of the school, and it totally changed the whole way I ride because of that. So
Yeah,
it'll change your
yeah,
life.
like street riding sometimes is a bit more of a more hobby. It's a great sport, but once there's racing and we're getting more athletic and dynamic with the body, like any sport, foot position, hand position.
Yeah,
Like you tweak it a couple millimeters. Whatever sport we're playing, you open up foot position. You're more on the toes than the heels. Like
yeah,
it changes. It changes a ton.
yeah. So I've actually talked to Chris Paris quite a bit about this, but Mike C says, how big is that endurance tank on the AOD Endurance R1? Because that thing looks huge.
Yeah, I think it's 10.5 gallons.
Shut the fuck up.
So so
You've more than doubled
at
the capacity in that thing?
and at Atlanta we ran for 67 minutes before the fuel light came on, and
Wow.
that's a couple big straightaways where you're wide open a lot. And that's really it. Yeah, it's just about a little under a year ago was when I rode that bike for the
Yeah.
first time riding like a race prepped leader bike.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean we're running stock electronics, uh, and I I don't know, I thought it was so much fun. I'm like, oh, this is a whole nother sport at this level when you get on a big bike like this.
Yeah.
Like you got to rethink everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, and obviously working with Army of Darkness and Chris Ferris and Ben Walters and Robert Tino was on our team. Now we got Josh Hayes, and we switched from Pirellis to Dunlops this year,
Really?
which has been a good change. Yeah, I mean we ran.
You see me giving you side eye.
To- Tony Romo had all these different compounds and tires um, for us to test, and we had tested a different rear plan to each hour of the 4 hour, just to try to get some data and support for and get some stuff for them for how much they're supporting our program.
Okay.
Here, let me
That's
open this window. It's getting dark in here.
it still looks okay on YouTube. Um,
Yeah.
so last question before I let you go. Chris McCreary wants to know if you feel that racing the 400 made you a better rider on the bigger bikes.
um, Not necessarily. I think that they have to be ridden so differently, and the approach, every corner entry, every corner approach is so different. I'm going faster mid corner on the 400 in some areas than I would be going on the 1,000, right?
Yeah.
So I think more just riding baggers, the R7, an MT10 at the school, an FZ1, um, you know, all these different bikes, just knowing like, okay, before you hop on the bike, this is what this bike is good at, and this is how this should be ridden, right? So
Right.
it is a different approach, and I know you get on a different bike, you get on your super bike versus your MT, like this is a whole different level
Yeah.
for what you're having to do physically and mentally.
Right. Well, you know what, man? It's been a fun chat, Cody. Do you have any? You want to thank any sponsors? You want final words from Cody? Words of wisdom, whatever.
Oh man,
Advice for a new racer?
well, a ton of people reached out this weekend after filling in and getting a good result on Saturday, and just as many people reached out after I tipped the thing over on lap one. Just total dumbass move. Uh, I just didn't give myself enough margin of error on lap one.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of upset about that, but yeah, all my personal sponsors for kind of sticking with me when I left the wrench team, and we kind of mutually agreed to part ways after Road Atlanta, and yeah, we talked enough about Champ School,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, just thanks to all my supporters and everyone who's kind of stuck with me, and even all the haters for talking shit about me running 400 program, because it's better than nothing,
Yeah.
and in the long run, I was just racing bikes with my family, and now I'm seeing some of it start to come back. So
Is there like
Well,
a
yeah,
website or something? Somebody like if they, if they wanted to sponsor you or, help support your program or whatever, is there some way to get in touch with you or do you
yeah,
have
through
like
my
a
Facebook or Instagram on social media.
okay.
Um, but yeah, no, I mean, as of right now, no plans for the next Moto America race. We're gonna race CMP with Army of Darkness this weekend.
Okay.
We'll be out there Friday and Saturday, and yeah, actually Josh Hayes won't be there, but I'll have Hunter Dunham and Ben Walters as my teammates for that. So
Nice.
looking forward to that. The endurance racing is so much fun. If you're club racing but haven't done endurance racing, I definitely recommend it. Get some buddies together. Yeah, really, really good time. They're even doing relays, so you can switch the transponder uh, to
Oh,
uh, to a different. So you can run different motorcycles, so you're not all have to be in the same bike. Um, really cool. The bike experience is out at we're in national endurance races where it's all paraplegic riders that they put on the bike
oh
and their
really?
feet um, are you have magnets to the rear sets,
Oh no
and
shit.
pretty sure they won a race or two last year.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just endurance racing, man. If you haven't done it, super good time, and hopefully I have something going for Moto America at the Ridge because you
Well,
know
you're gonna be there with your suit ready, right?
I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be coaching, but I'll have all my gear
Nice.
ready to go.
Well, man, I wish you the best of luck. It's been a fun chat, Cody. Thanks for giving me some of your time.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, buddy. All right, man. Well, I hope that you are on the grid at the next round, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I'll see you out at Champ School soon, right?
Yeah, man. All right, dude. See ya.